Hello and welcome to News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil. Joining me is Catherine. Hello, Catherine.
Hello Neil, hello everybody. The story we're looking at today is of a cyber attack which has happened on an underground nuclear facility in Iran.
If you want to test yourself on any of the vocabulary you hear in this programme, you can test yourself on our website at bbclearningenglish.com. Now let's hear some more about that story from this BBC News report.
As soon as it emerged that there had been some kind of problem at the Natanz facility, speculation arose as to what might have caused it. Now the head of Iran's atomic agency, Ali Akbar Salehi, has called it nuclear terrorism, saying that Iran reserves the right to take action against the perpetrators.
Yes, it's a big story. There has been a cyber attack on an underground nuclear facility in Iran. Now, they'd just started using new advanced machines called centrifuges, and now those machines no longer work. The Iranian foreign minister has blamed Israel for the attack and says his country will take revenge. Now, Israel hasn't commented, but Israeli public radio has said that yes, this was an attack by Mossad. Now, Mossad is the Israeli intelligence service.
Okay, well, you've been looking around at this story. You've picked out three really useful words. What are they?
Yes, today we are looking at sabotage, outage and ironclad.
Sabotage, outage and ironclad. So let's have a look at your first headline, please.
Yes, we'll start here in the UK with the BBC. The headline, Iran says key Natanz nuclear facility hit by sabotage.
Sabotage, deliberate destruction of something to prevent a competitor's success.
Yes, now the spelling is Sabotage, the pronunciation sabotage.
With that zh sound at the end.
That lovely zh sound that you get in television is at the end of sabotage.
Yeah, and in this headline, sabotage is a noun, often used as a verb as well.
Frequently we use sabotage as a verb, and we can often use it in the passive to say somebody or something has been sabotaged.
Yes, and there's a nice little fixed expression for when it's a noun, an act of sabotage.
Yes, an act of sabotage. So if you do something that will stop somebody else performing to their required standard or ability, or if you do something that makes something else stop working properly, you are sabotaging it, or you are committing an act of sabotage.
Now, this word is neither formal nor informal. It's used for both very serious things and also things which people might not think are very serious.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this nuclear facility, to stop a nuclear facility working deliberately is a very severe act of sabotage. But you can also use it in kind of domestic situations or personal situations. Imagine you've got two children entering a colouring competition and one of them hides the red pen so that the other one can't finish his or her drawing. That's an act of sabotage. Not a serious one. There's not going to be any massive consequences, but it's still about deliberately stopping something happening the way it should be, because they're a competitor, sometimes as revenge, or because you just don't want them to finish or succeed. It's sabotage.
Yeah, there is a very British word for this as well, a very colloquial British word, which has a similar meaning.
Yes, to nobble. Now, nobble means sabotage. It is mostly used in British English. And if you nobble something, again, you stop it being successful, often in competitions or races. I believe you're quite fond of betting on the horses, aren't you, Neil? You like a horse race and a bet.
Well, yes, there's a really famous horse race in the UK called the Grand National. It happened at the weekend. My horse was completely useless, but I'm sure it must have been nobbled.
Or just maybe you just picked the wrong horse, Neil?
Maybe, I usually do. Okay, let's have a summary. If you are interested in stories about cyber attacks, we have the perfect one for you. Where can our viewers find it, Catherine?
All you have to do is click that link.
Okay, let's have a look at our next headline.
Yes, we are now at arabnews.com. The headline, Iran says it identified person who caused power outage at Natanz. Report.
Outage, a period when a service, often electricity, is not working.
Yes, now the spelling for this one is Outage. It's a noun. The pronunciation is outage.
Yes. Interesting pronunciation again here. It ends in age, just like sabotage, but we don't say j, do we?
No, in fact, it's tage. So we say sabotage, but we say outage. And
Yes.
it's just the way it is, people. It is a kind of French pronunciation for sabotage, but a much more British English way of saying outage.
Yeah. And the clue is in the word out, isn't it?
Yeah, if something's out, it's not available, is it? So if the power is out, or if there is a power outage, there is no power. Usually something's gone wrong. So you should have power, but you haven't got it. Then you have a power outage.
Yeah. And as you said there, a power outage, it's a countable noun.
Yes, it is. If you're very unlucky, you will have several power outages during one short period of time.
Yeah. Now, as you've said, it's often used with power outage. It can be on its own, though, just an outage. But there are some other expressions that have the same meaning.
Well, I mean, there's some other uses. Oh, yeah, we can say power cut. There can be a power cut, there can be a blackout. And both of those have a similar meaning to an electrical outage or a power outage.
Yeah. And it's also used for not just the electricity, but things that are powered by electricity.
Yeah, I mean, you can have like a telephone outage. The phone lines can be down, and that's another word we use to say something's down, to say it's not available. Or there can be an internet outage when you can't get online. That's an outage as well.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get a summary. If you would like to hear another story about power outages, we have one from South Africa. Where can our viewers find it, Catherine?
All you have to do is the same as every time. Just click that link.
Okay, let's have a look at your next headline.
Okay, so we are now in the United States with Politico, and the headline, Pentagon chief declares ironclad US commitment to Israel.
Ironclad. Impossible to change or weaken. Completely definite.
Yes, so we have one word here, IRONCLAD, ironclad. It's actually made up of two words. We've got iron, IRON, which is the very, very, very strong metal. And then we have the word clad, CLAD, clad. And if you're clad in something, you're clothed in it. It's about clothing. Or you're wrapped in it, or you're surrounded by it, or covered in it. So a cladding is a wrapping or a covering.
Okay, so originally an ironclad ship was a wooden ship that had an iron coating or covering, and it made it really, really strong.
Exactly that, yeah. If you clad something in iron, you make it super, super strong. So the world's first ironclad ship was what, Neil, the name?
I think it's the HMS Warrior. That's the first British one anyway.
Okay, and that was the strongest ship in the entire fleet of ships because it was ironclad, it was super strong. So if you make an ironclad promise, let's say, that is a really, really strong promise that it's not going to be broken because it's super, super strong.
Yeah, and we hear this word ironclad with promise, but
Yeah.
also with guarantee,
Yeah.
assurance.
Yeah. All of them, yeah. If you add it, using it as an adjective for a noun like promise or guarantee or assurance, it means it's a super, super strong promise or guarantee. So I will give you, I know, Neil, I'm sometimes late for our meetings and I do apologise, but I am now publicly giving you an ironclad promise that I will never be late for a meeting with you for the rest of my life. How about that?
Brilliant. Is that a cast iron guarantee?
It's a cast iron guarantee, yes.
Another way of saying it. Okay, let's get a summary. Time now then for a recap of our vocabulary, please, Catherine.
Yes, we had sabotage, deliberate destruction of something to prevent a competitor's success. We had outage, period when a service, often electrical, is not working. And ironclad, impossible to change or weaken, completely definite.
If you'd like to test yourself on the vocabulary, there's a quiz you can find on our website, bbclearningenglish.com, and of course we are all over social media. Take care of yourselves and goodbye.
Goodbye.